Russia. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thank you for coming on with us this morning.
You bet.
So why was his warning, if he's speaking the truth and telling the whole story there, why was he ignored?
I'm sure he's telling the truth. This is the frustration. This actually really sets the place for everything that's going on with the Russian discussion today. President Trump, I surely wish he'd say more against Russia, but his actions have been outstanding up to this point. He's been probably the most hawkish anti-Russian president we've seen in quite a long time. In contrast, President Obama, everybody kind of looks back with rose-colored glasses at his foreign policy and says he was this Russian hawk. Well, he wasn't. He barely said anything about Russia, didn't do anything about election meddling when they saw that coming, allowed Russia a foothold in Syria to prop up the Assad regime, allowed Russia to intervene in eastern Ukraine, and did nothing really short of sending blankets to the Ukrainian army, where President Trump has now sent lethal weapons. So on the one hand, the left loves to talk about the rhetoric of this administration. On the other hand, they look back at their administration as if it was some Russian hawk situation. It wasn't. We see that this is just further evidence.
And apparently, some of the explanation as to why this they didn't take this warning seriously was that the State Department, former Obama officials are saying, would not have funded this effort. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I think it's all true. I think, look, when you look through the foreign policy establishment of the Obama administration, I think they all intended well. I think they love America and they wanted to do the right thing, but they see foreign policy very differently. They thought to appease Iran could get an Iranian deal that would lead to unicorns flying out of Iran every day. They thought that if they didn't confront Russia, that the Russians would ultimately be appeased, similar to what Neville Chamberlain thought. And so when you look at whether it's the State Department, the national security establishment, or the president himself, it was a do not confront, do not rock the boat foreign policy. And unfortunately, in a very imperfect world that we live in, America needs to sometimes come in with a heavy hand and confront bad people.
So how far has this gone, Congressman? I mean, can Moscow effectively be stopped? And can they be prevented from meddling in upcoming elections?
Well, I think they can be. There's a couple things that need to happen. Talking about Russian meddling in the election is very important because it makes Americans aware when there is a fake news story, for instance, that this may actually be a Russian troll farm putting out false information. By the way, if you think that they're going to oppose Democrats or oppose Republicans, they're going to oppose everybody because they want to undermine our democracy. So I think being aware of it, I think making it clear that we will fight back with the same kind of propaganda that Russia will do to us, because Vladimir Putin fears losing office as well. And I think pushing back economically and militarily, like the president has done with lethal weapons to Ukraine, for instance, is how we can push back and regain the West in the world.
You know, circling back to how you started this conversation, Congressman, calling President Trump the most hawkish anti-Russian president this country may have ever seen, as I see your shot going in and out. Are you with us still, Congressman?
I can hear you.
Okay, there you are. It happens sometimes. Weather in Chicago, maybe? When you said that, though, I circle back to that conversation that the president had with Vladimir Putin last week, where he has been strongly criticized by some for, congratulating him on the election win there and not bringing up this recent nerve agent attack and not bringing up really important issues while on the phone with Vladimir Putin. What would his strategy have been there?
Well, I wish he would have brought it up. The president, I've met with him a number of times last year. He's actually a very personable person. But it's important to bring it up. At the same time, what really matters is actions. And when the president, he can congratulate Vladimir Putin. Again, I wish he didn't. But then to expel diplomats, the most diplomats that have been expelled, frankly, I think in history, but definitely in the last 30 years, to really take these strong stands and do it coordinated with our allies sends a way stronger message than any conversation over the telephone from the Oval Office could have. So, again, the left loves to grab onto this idea of what the president's saying, but the reality is his actions are far different than the prior administration, more hawkish on Russia.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger, thank you for coming on this morning. It's always good to see you.